There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM. With even more exclusive content, with over 150 channels in your vehicle, including the widest, deepest variety of music, ad-free. Root for your team. Get news. Listen to whatever makes you laugh. And hear all about your favorite stars. Your Platinum Plan offer includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels filled with music and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video. Thousands of hours of shows and performances on demand. What you love is on now.
The Japanese manufacturer known as Pioneer has deep roots in sound reproduction, whether we're talking about their expertise in loudspeaker manufacturing, source units, amplifiers. But today we're going to focus in on what the philosophy and what audiophile grade means to Pioneer. This is CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM Pioneer, and it starts now. What's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another CMA Connected here on CMA Networks, presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu, and of course, I'm always having a smile at this time of year because we get to talk about high-end audio. And yes, today we've stumbled upon Pioneer, a juggernaut within the car audio industry. But make no mistake, Pioneer Electronics literally has had decades specializing on sound reproduction, whether that be the innovations they've had in the source units, as so many of us have had experience with, or in their loudspeakers. We've learned about their Japanese facilities and the engineering and the anechoic chambers that they use to test their speakers, along with amplification. Now, that all comes together in a suite of products that Pioneer feels is certainly audiophile grade, but we want to find out what it means to them and what type of research and energy and resources goes into producing these type of products. So to do that, we're going to reach out to our friendly experts in the field of Pioneer. Let's start with my good friend, Robert Money, who will be joining us. He's the Senior Sales and Territory Manager here for Pioneer Electronics in Canada. Come on to the show, Mr. Robert. How are you, sir?
Hi, Ben. How are you?
I'm doing really good. Very excited to have you guys on because we get to talk a little bit of high-end nerdy talk. And I know you and I can certainly geek it out very, very deep if we wanted to. And I'm really counting on you today, Robert, to bring in some data, some information so that we could better explain what high-end sound actually means, especially to Pioneer.
Yeah, actually, we can geek out as much as you want, but I'll try to be maybe a bit different than many guys here, in a way to translate that to maybe a ground level type of discussion, in a way to make the things more understandable for most people. Not just talking about the people, the staff on the floor from the dealers, which are our attendees right now, but also maybe translate it to the people, the end users, to make it more understandable.
I'll tell you, there is a lot of terminology that is being slung around quite a bit this month when it comes to high-end sound, like stuff like high res and bit rates and all this funky stuff. I'm really counting on you to maybe demystify some of that terminology. Now, also we have somebody standing by in their back studio that, of course, we want to bring on because he is the official national trainer for Pioneer Electronics, and he also loves geeking out on this stuff. I know that for a fact. He is their national trainer, Mr. Harry Kroll.
Hey, Ben. Good to see you. Robert, good to see you guys.
Good to see you, Harry. Harry, today, as I mentioned, we are geeking out. We're going to dive in a little bit deeper than we normally do. A lot of times we kind of just skip through the specs and skip through, a couple of these key terms. Today, I'm hoping that we could do a deeper dive and really uncover what this means at the end of the day to the consumer, to the dealer when it comes to audiophile grade from Pioneer.
I look forward to it, Ben. I love that kind of stuff.
All right. So, let me start with you, Harry. We're talking about audiophile grade. Who is an audiophile? This is a fancy term that we're using quite loosely. I'd like to hear your definition, or
Yeah.
maybe hear yours, and then maybe get Robert's opinion too.
Okay. Well, to me, Ben, I like to think of myself as an audiophile, and I have since I was a kid. My very first job was picking up golf balls at a driving range when I was 13 years old. And what I did was as soon as I got my first paycheck, I went to my local store and I bought a receiver and brought it home because I loved this thing. It was beautiful. And a couple of paychecks later, I went and I bought myself a couple JBL speakers to go with it. So I had a Pioneer receiver and JBL speakers. And a couple of paychecks later, back to that store and I bought a Technics turntable.
Oh yeah.
And from that point forward, every paycheck that I got, I went to this place that they used to call the record store, and I would go and buy vinyl albums and bring them home to play on my Technics turntable through my Pioneer receiver, through those JBL speakers. And baby, let me tell you, it could not be loud enough. But what I learned along the way is there is so many little things, ins and outs, and what have yous. And I used to get a magazine called Audiophile magazine, and I pour through it every single month, trying to learn everything that I could about it. And I realized that really was one of these guys that they called an audiophile, except I didn't have enough money to be as good as their audiophiles were. Because I was
good.
13
Can you
or
be
14
good at
years
being an
old.
audiophile? Can you be good at being an audiophile? Is that
I
something
don't
you
know.
can be good at?
I think an audiophile, Ben, is a guy who loves audio equipment as much as he loves listening to the music on it. Okay? And so it doesn't matter. Sometimes audio equipment can be really expensive. And it's fabulous when you get to spend a bunch of your hard-earned money on this hardware that you've researched and figured out what's the right to do, and it feels great. And every time you switch that thing on or do whatever it is that you do with it, I love it. I chose that, and it was expensive. And tell me I'm crazy. But that is sort of a audiophile experience. At least that's what it is for me. I learned kind of early on that it isn't about how much money you spend necessarily. It's spending the money that's important to you, and that's where it comes in.
All right, so that's a very, very interesting description of what it is, and I tend to agree with you. There's the reproduction of sound, which I believe is a big, huge part of it. But there's the gear, there's the geeking out of the gear and the equipment and the specs and all that type of stuff. I too share that experience, Harry. The Stereophile magazines and record store. Imagine, can you remember one of those? And going to the hi-fi shop and auditioning different combinations of speakers and amps and all that stuff, right? That's all part of it. But I'll go to you, Robert, with this one. Is it simply about reproducing the sound, or is it about the environment as well?
Yeah, it is both actually, and we can split the things. Actually, Harry mentioned different great things about being an audiophile, but both of you also mentioned things about the gears. Maybe I'll create a word. I don't know if it's already on the place in English, but maybe we can say also technophile, because I'm more actually a technophile than a audiophile. I love to listen to music, but I love even more to dig deeper on technical part of the stuff, how the things are engineered in a way to reproduce something, in a way to create something. So I think we can split those two things into. So there's technologies on one end, and there's real music on the other ends. Actually, audiophile definition from Wikipedia or no matter where you dig on the web is someone who's passionate about recreate the most faithfully the music that was recorded in the studio. So this is the pure definition of audiophile. So we're not talking about expensive product. We're not talking about specific product, but about a goal to reproduce something that will be the closest as possible to the original content or the source. And of course, the environment is really important and have a big impact on it.
The reason why I brought that up, Robert, the environment, why this is so important. We could So let's establish, based on what you said, that the goal is to reproduce the recording of the sound as it was recorded. Great. We
Yeah.
have a challenge here in our industry. Let's call it what we talk about here on CMA, and that is that environment. Harry, that sound system, I'm sure you took time to set it up in whatever room you had at home. Angle those speakers perfectly. You had a spot where you wanted to sit, close your eyes, and that was it. Well, let's fast forward to the vehicle. We are not dealing with an ideal environment. We are not even centered, for that matter. And, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about off-axis performance, because let's face it, none of the speakers are facing us the way we want. We're using space which is available to us to install drivers. That's number one. Number two, materials, reflections, we can go on forever. So all this to say that we're talking about an environment which is really not set up to succeed. Harry, what do you think?
I totally agree, Ben. So you're right. In my home, it's speakers, perfect distance in between them, towed in at just the right angle. In my car, that's how you create a perfect environment. In my car, I have almost the exact opposite of that. I have a one speaker is right beside me in the door, the other one's all the way over there. One tweeter maybe is high in the door, away from the mid-bass driver, and the subwoofer is in the trunk, and there's a whole bunch of terrible that's going on inside your car. So how do you deal with those things? We can deal with some of them electronically through systems like time align is available in many Pioneer systems. Digital audio processing can help us with many of that, but we can also build products that are excellent right out of the gate in less than perfect installations. And so we at Pioneer build our speakers with a very simple concept behind them. It's called open and smooth. Open means a wide open dispersion. And so a speaker that's in the door, high in the door or low in the door, or a speaker that is forward of you or behind you or something like that, all of these things with a open dispersion from that speaker give you still very good soundstage. Not perfect in every way, but a very good soundstage. And so open and smooth, smooth is the transition from to the mid-bass driver. How do we create transition so that a male voice isn't lost in the mid-bass driver, but the female voice comes from up here at the tweeter or something? We need that smooth transition between those two to give us a lifelike representation of a soundstage in the vehicle. So, hardware is one way to deal with it, but speaker design is another way to deal with that. And that's what we choose to do.
So with these challenges, I understand there's some remedies. Is it even possible to have an audiophile system in a car environment then?
I think it absolutely is possible, Ben. Given that you try to build around some of those problems that you have, right? So some guys approach it from an installation point of view, and that installation point of view might be to put the speakers in the panels or something like that, where I physically build a better sound stage. And another way is to approach through speakers that work a different way than a narrow output from a speaker. And another way to do that is through digital signal processing, time alignment, and other tricks that we can do with the electron. So there are definitely different ways to approach it. But I'm going to go back. You said, can you build a audiophile environment in the vehicle? Well, yes, you absolutely can. And because the audiophile environment is what you make it, right? There may be better ones than other places, and that's just that's what we call life. But car, you can build a fantastic environment that works great for you.
I think the where this dialogue is going is, part of that audiophile experience is not just about the components, it's about the environment. And I think, Robert, it's important that if you're a dealer and you want to build that for your customer, or you're an end user and you want to build that for yourself, taking into consideration the factors that you can control in your environment are very important. And I think one of the first ones we need to talk about is preparing the environment. Robert.
Yeah, you need to be really in control of those things. So, and that's apply for your audio room at home as well. As an example, when you prepare the audio room at home, I already mentioned it. You have the sweet spot, so the money seat, and you have the perfect alignment in those things. But you need to have a good room as well. If there's too many different type of resonant frequencies or reverb in your room, that will be wrong. So you can apply the same in your car. So and this is where you need to find a balance. You're that typical sentence, you're as strong as the weakest link. So even if you spend $3,000 on a speakers to install in your car, and if you're not preparing the door panel or the rear deck in a way to making it match the quality of the speakers you're installing, it worths nothing. So it's better to have a good balance in the budget, and way to have balance of the budget applied for a good speaker quality, but also the different type of things beside it to make it properly installed. Meanings, I'll add soundproofing material, sound deadening material in the car in a way to avoid that sheet metal to rattle when the speaker is playing, in a way to create a better cabinet for the speakers, a better enclosure for the speakers. I'll apply material to isolate a bit more, maybe the environment in my car, to reduce the noise floor level in the car. Because let's be realistic. So if I'm listening to a audiophile grade speakers, where I'll spend a 4-digit price tag to put those in my car, will I listen to those right in front of me like this? Or that will be with a slight angle like that, as I mentioned with the open and smooth? Or will it be while park in a parking
Oh,
lot
as in stationary,
to
not
avoid
moving.
any,
Mhm.
yeah, or yes. So you need to find a balance to say, okay, let's be realistic. So because the expense will be exponential somewhere. So if I want to have improvement for tiny little things, I'll spend 2 times the money to some type of level. So we need to be realistic on and see it as a global audio chain. So it's not only the speaker itself, the amplifiers, or the source. What content are you playing, and what's the car that create your environment to make it
I'm going to
make
say
it
something
real?
here. So I think there's two kinds of retailers out there right now. I find there's retailers that totally get what you're saying here, Robert, and literally would probably
Yeah.
not even let their customer leave the bay without having some type of sound control prepping material situation. Okay. There's the other side.
Actually, I
Yep.
think just one thing. I think that will be harsh word maybe, but I think it's a shame to install quality speakers in the door
No
panel
doubt. I
without
agree
installing
100%.
deadening material.
I think
And too
everybody
many
will
dealers are
agree with that
doing it.
statement. Anybody that I know or that comes and presents on CMA will say the same thing. Unfortunately, there is the other side that believe, or maybe not believe, or may not place as high a priority, here, I'll say it like that, on prepping the environment properly for any driver, never mind just Pioneer, any driver, and will upsell the customer on hardware. The problem with that, though, is you are setting yourself up to fail, because you're setting a certain expectation for your customer from a sound performance standpoint, but you're not setting them up to succeed by prepping the environment. Why am I saying all this? Because at the end of the day, the question is, are you now saying that I should consider a portion of my budget to place towards environmental control, and now sacrifice that? I was really looking at that set of speakers. Well, because I have to take some money to do that, I can only now afford a lower trim of speaker. How can I build an audiophile system if I'm compromising on the quality of the driver? That's my question. Harry, your thoughts?
But I can
or
tell
Robert
you, and
first.
I can
Yep.
100% say to you that the end result will be better, because you will have a better result everywhere. Go ahead, Harry. Sorry, I cut you.
You know, Ben, I think that sound editing material and preparing your installation is super important. But you know, I'm not a retailer, and so I can't speak for them. But you know, the dollar in or the dollars in, I would think to a certain extent. You know, if I'm a guy buying a system, it's not sexy to buy that stuff, sound editing material and better cables and that sort of thing. It's not very sexy to buy that. But if you're an audiophile and you believe in this sort of thing, that the difference, the small differences make a big difference when they all add up. This is what you have to do, and this is the way you have to build the system. So if I was going to drop a budget and break it into some pieces, vehicle preparation has to be a second part of my budget, even though I like it. And then my next thing that I'm going to spend on is speakers, because where the audio signal becomes something can hear and speak. And then you have the electronics. Not that the electronics are important; they are super important. And as you know, Robert said, it's only as good as the weakest link in the chain. So they have to be strong links. But the easiest and best and most cost-effective way to make a great audio system is to spend some money on speakers, because that's where it all really happens.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe I can share something. Just one page, Ben, with that Pioneer pages. I don't know if we can bring that page with the
Let's
audio
go ahead and
chain
bring up
on
the
screen.
Pioneer presentation here real quick. There you go.
Yes, only that page. That's perfect. So what Harry just mentioned is that speakers is one, if not the most important part of the audio chain for cardio system. The main reason for it, if you look at the bold characters on that slides, the process is really basic. So we're capturing audio in the recording studios, and those microphone or electronic devices that are capturing the audio are converting audio, which is movement of air, right, into electrical signal. And the only section of that process or that change where it do the opposite in a way to transfer back the electrical signal we have, no matter how the process, the content or whatever we did before, the only part where we are converting back that things to audio, which is movement of air, is the speakers. So that's why we're saying that the speakers is the most important part of that audio chain.
I don't think anybody will argue with you that. I mean, maybe, sir, I can think of a brand that only makes amplifiers might want to argue with you on that one. But I mean, generally speaking, what you say is true, because you're taking a physical movement, right, of something physical, converting into a digital signal, and that digital signal stays throughout, from the recording moment all the way out from the amplifier, right? There's all that is that signal remains the same. And really, and I might get in trouble for saying this, I'm going to say it anyways. Really, any of those components in between shouldn't be taking away or adding anything to said signal.
Yeah, they
Quote,
should
unquote,
be transparent,
right? They should literally be colorless, no impact other than volume to reproduce, to send it back to the speaker, the driver, which in what you're saying,
it's not the case, but yeah,
right, it's not. But the goal, we're talking about goals here, right? These are the goals, and you're
totally
right. If you had to choose one item that makes the most impact, I cannot argue with you. It is the speaker. So to Harry's point, to your point, absolutely right. Now, having said that, this is where you might not like me. So let's take down. We're going to bring this presentation back in a second. So let's talk about speakers. We've spent a lot of time reinforcing Pioneer's rich history in manufacturing speakers from an OE level in Japan, engineering, anechoic chambers. We've talked about marine grade speakers. We'll be talking about pro speakers next month. We've done the whole gambit. When I look at all the audiophile brands that have presented themselves, obviously we have the best of the best. Every name you can think of has come on. And Pioneer speakers, I'm going to say, aren't necessarily on the highest side of the scale when it comes to gizmos, gadgets, aesthetics, etched logos, cast baskets. You know what I mean? That type of stuff. So I'd like to hear what you have to say about that, I suppose. Harry, why don't I ask you that question first?
think we have
Nope.
communication issues with Harry.
I'm wondering if Harry heard my question. Oh, we'll give Harry a second. Maybe there's a connection issue there. I'll go to you first, Robert, while we figure that out. You understand what I'm
Yes,
trying
of
to say here?
course.
Yeah.
Yes, to answer your question, Pioneer have a rich history for speakers. Actually, in fact, the company started in 1937 with a speaker. So we know about speakers. We are mastering the process of research and development, no matter how you may think about it, from computer simulation, analysis, anechoic chambers, going back and forth in tests and different type of process. And we also control the manufacturing process itself. So we know a lot, no matter if it's for car, for home, for professional side audio. And when I'm saying pro side, it's not the pro audio, in the car audio industries, but really the big show speakers, as well as pro DJ that. So we have a rich history when we're talking about audio and being passionate about audio. And for answering the second part of your question about Pioneer not bringing any kind of expensive or fancy type of speakers for the car audio market is mostly because we think we need to find a balance where we need to offer a solution that will be great for the money, for the end user, for the consumer who will spend dollars buying those speakers, to something that I should say, kind of a decent level price tag. So we want to make audiophile grade for the customer to buy a product with the Pioneer logo on it, that will be happy to say, I'm really excited about the sound quality and the end result, and I only paid that price
So
tag
value is an important element here, because
yes,
the reason why I want to go down this path, I'm not setting you up to fail. Don't worry. Well, there's a reason why I asked you this. There's two things. Number one, there is a fantastic offering in the catalog right now from a high-end perspective in the Z series from Pioneer. I want to talk about that.
Yeah,
but before we talk about that, here's the thing. I did some digging. Okay. Pioneer's been doing speakers for a long time, and like I said, we've been having this dialogue. I wanted to bring the attention to these to our listeners of what kind of resources Pioneer can reach out to, get technology from.
Good question. Yeah.
And kind of draw information, technology, to show that this is not a company that is claiming to be audiophile grade. I'm going to bring something up. Let's get our little. I found some slides here. It's called TAD, and I'm going to say, most of our listeners have never even seen this logo or even heard about this. Robert, why don't you just give us a quick breakdown of what we're looking at, why we're talking about this brand that has nothing to do with Pioneer, seemingly.
So actually what you see is toys for grown up. So those are Technical Audio Devices Laboratory. So TAD is Technical Audio Devices Laboratory. It is a company, let's say, part of Pioneer. So everything that you see here is designed, build, manufactures one by one, by the way. So it's a one person who do the build of one speakers at a time, as an example, build to order. So pretty audiophile grade, pretty high type of product, but it is 100% Pioneer from Tohoku factory in Japan. So the center stage of that things is the TAD reference one speakers. So those beasts actually weigh 330 pounds each. And the bookshelf on the right side is, if we can call it a bookshelf, because it weighed over 100 pounds each, not to mention the 10. Actually, a entry-level sound system for a reference, which consists of a transport, not a CD player. So a transport that you'll need to add a DAC, an external DAC, preamp, and two mono amplifiers if we want to do a stereo system, like the one you see on the left, with the bookshelf. So the basic reference system will cost you over a $500,000.
Yeah.
So this is Pioneer, from the source to the heaters.
Specifically why I want to bring this up. So, this is a high-end audiophile grade system. I implore you guys to go take a look at this stuff. It's crazy high-end. Like Robert was mentioning, there is no hybrid integrated systems. You want to play your CD, you need to book the transport, the DAC, the preamp, and two separate monos, because that's just how they roll. Then there's no other option.
And it's 100% technical audio devices solution, not only speakers, not only source, not only amplifier. So what I'm saying is really from the source to the ears, this is a technical audio devices solution.
I mean, the geek in me could sit on these slides all day and we can go a little bit deeper, but the purpose of bringing this up was really just to showcase how this is where, and there's a Pioneer logo right there, actually. This is where Pioneer can draw technical insight, information, technology, resource, testing, you name it, from. So make no mistake when we say that Pioneer, it can be audiophile grade. Now, let's bring this to reality of what is available right now and some of the trickle down technologies that they've taken from like these TAD components.
Actually, because you bring those exploded view, I can just geek a bit with you if you want.
Yes, let's geek it. You want me to bring that back up again?
Yeah, bring back
Okay.
the slide with the technical audio device exploded view with the Pioneer pictures with the tweeter, the one before. Yeah, that
this one here. Okay, go ahead.
So if you look at the top, this is the technical audio devices exploded view of the concentric driver, which consists of a mid-range with a tweeter in the center instead of having the classic DOS cap ear. So they are integrating the tweeter to be right at the sweet spot to do the perfect time alignment between the tweeter and the mid-range. So pretty complex design, achieving really sharp focus, open and smooth sound. But if you look at the design of that beryllium diaphragm for the tweeter, or even the beryllium diaphragm for the mid-range, so it's not something that is really affordable. So pretty expensive material, pretty great material for rigidity and lightweight and everything that we're looking at when we're looking at a transparent air piston that move air. But this is something that, if we want to be realistic, we can bring that type of product into a car speakers and justify the price tag for the customers to Pioneer eyes. So, but we have the same technology, same design, and the same engineer team that work on those CST drivers are the same guys at Tohoku who are doing the design on Pioneer car speakers. So if you look on the lower left, this is the diaphragm from the TSZ series or TSZ series. I don't know how to say that in English, Ben. My French.
THZ, they both works.
Okay, so the TSZ tweeter ear is using the harmonized synthetic diaphragm optimum method design. So the same method of design that we use and the same concept to make the cone shapes with if you look at the system, maybe I can close it to the
put your hand behind it
because
there,
my
Robert,
face, yeah.
there you
Okay,
go. There you go.
So if you look at it, the dome itself is a aluminum dome, but we can see on the side here, maybe with better angle. So there's a real cloth suspension on that tweeter. So it's really a design where we don't have any mechanical distortion on the dome itself because of the flexibility we have in the cloth suspension material and the way that we design the different shape of the speakers to help you have a smooth and wide beam without being harsh in the front, but still achieving good performance when you are off axis. So this is a lot of technologies that we are bringing into a concept and design when by thinking about every single details out of it. So all the technologies, the knowledge that the guys have at Tohoku will trickle down to something that we will be able to produce those speakers. And every material selection that we do have one thing really important in mind. So we are always asking us if it's worth it to select a material versus another, or a design versus another. As an example, if you look at the basket itself here, it's a stem steel. Because the way we designed it, with the thickness of the material, with the shape, it's not as fancy as having cool anodized aluminum or whatever type of exotic material, but it do the job. And that is the most important part of it. So we don't have any ring in the basket. The basket is really stiff. That will not translate any resonance to the basket from the woofer when it drives, because that is the main goal. So if it's good for the audio, we will bring it. If it's good for cosmetic only, not so sure.
I see. Okay, so Harry, we're geeking out a little bit, learning about TAD, seeing some of that trickle down DNA, and now we're translating into the actual offering, which we're talking about the Z series speakers. What would you like to add?
Right. Well, Ben, the Z series speakers bring in the tweeter that Robert was talking about, the HSDOM, the harmonic synthesized diaphragm optimum method in the construction of the tweeter. All right. But, one of the important things is it's a beryllium tweeter in the TAD products. Beryllium is really expensive. And one of the reasons it's really expensive is it's because it's hard to mine. And once you do, in fact, mine it, it's incredibly difficult to work with the material. Now, it has great properties for a speaker. And you want to geek out a little bit. It's even the James Webb Space Telescope, the 18 segment telescope that was launched. Those mirrors are all beryllium, and they're coated with a tiny bit of gold. The reason they're beryllium is because the material is incredibly light, and if you're putting something in space, you want it to be light. It doesn't change its size or shape when it changes in temperature. And so those are the two really important properties for making a speaker too, because you want the amplifier to control the motion of a speaker cone. So it has to be very light and yet still very rigid. Awesome product, but crazy expensive because it's so hard to tool and machine. So we're going to use another material there in the car and other materials in the car that stand up to the nasty environment in the car. And I've said this before, you've got to think about San Antonio in the summertime, and you've got to think about Winnipeg in the wintertime. And not when you're driving your car, but when your car is sitting in the parking lot.
Yeah, because I'm not sure about those TD speakers sitting out with a foot of snow on top of the bookshelf to play and how they would sound, to be honest.
They would probably sound great for a little while. But then where do we go from there? So, okay, it would be great to do all that sort of stuff and bring it into your car, but it's extremely expensive and it will probably fail over a short period of time. Pioneer builds speakers for your car that you can rely on for years and still sound really good. And try to do that at a reasonable price. Now, what's a reasonable price? Reasonable for different people at different price levels, but that's why we have TSZ speakers. And that's why we have a couple levels of TSZ, and we have TSD series speakers. Don't like the sound or the feel of a hard dome tweeter like we use in the TSZs. We offer a soft dome tweeter in the TSD series products that also sounds fantastic. Different materials for different tonal properties and different voicings of a speaker.
Okay, I love what you brought up there, Harry. I want to comment on that. There are speaker manufacturers out there, and they always take the time to explain to you the technology as you go up in price, right? And it always seems to be a more exotic material, whether it's the tweeter material, the cone material, the basket material. And yes, obviously there is a direct relation of material cost and workmanship, craftsmanship, and the price. I understand. But what you just said there means a lot. Because just because your higher model happens to use an aluminum tweeter doesn't mean I like the sound of an aluminum tweeter. I don't care,
Right.
what size it is or what price it is. I may not just like the tone that material reproduces to my ear. Maybe I
I
Or
happen to
to
like
your
a silk dome tweeter better,
yeah,
just as an
Yeah, I
or
example.
to your
totally
music
agree.
style. Yeah.
Or maybe it's my music style. Maybe I listen to death metal screamo, and the metal is just too harsh. Maybe, whatever.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Ben. This is why, the audiophile thing that we talked about earlier, I said it's about the equipment. To me, it's about loving the equipment as much as you love the music. Go to a store and listen to that equipment. Listen to it. Just because it's the most expensive thing doesn't mean it's the one you like the best. Listen to the stuff, try it out. And if you're a store owner or you work in a store, please find a way to demonstrate products in your store, because the more you demonstrate things, the more you will sell. And I remember years and years ago, there's an old thing people used to say. They would say, a presentation without demonstration is merely conversation. Demonstration closes a sale.
100%. I used to practice and practice my demo with this. I would probe the customer, set up his profile in my mind of what type of music they listen to, what they're looking for, the space that they're going to be installing their system in, and then select 2, maybe 3 max tracks, right? And not even the whole song, specific portions of the song, and tell them to
Based on
listen
the
for this.
music you like.
Based on the music they like, and then compare. So here's the thing: it wasn't about the brand; it was about the type of speaker. Because I'll tell you, a Kevlar cone with an aluminum tweeter in a bookshelf speaker will not sound the same as some with a paper cone with a silk dome tweeter. I don't care what price it is; they just won't sound the same.
Yeah. And maybe
They're
two hard dome
differently.
tweeter will sound different because
And
one
two
have
of the
damper in the
yes, and
back
then you can
or
look at brand.
not, or
But I would first identify: do they want that crispy, aluminum style type sound, or do they like that softer, more, and then break it out from there. What I wanted to just
yeah.
go ahead before I go too far.
Maybe I can share with you one thing that I was doing when I was selling on the floor is I was taking time to do the same process, maybe close to you, with first having a good selection of music that will match customer habits first, and then I was always spending the time to do blind listening session with the customers, saying or explaining to him that this is totally different being in a car than being at home with the stereo system. So you're not sitting in front of the speakers, as Ari mentioned. I think that is really a cool thing to have such type of interaction with the customers by taking time to explain the difference. So you're not sitting in front. So I'll do, let's say, ABC listening with you, Mr. Customers. So we will listen to that song specifically, and I'll change the speaker selection while you have your eyes closed, and tell me what do you like, what you don't. Then once it's done, do the same exercise and ask the customers to move out of axis and do that same, and play a bit with the reference. So change the ABC reference in a way to mix it up. So there's clearly a objective listening session from the customers, and do the same process and ask him back, because we're in the car, and I'm pretty sure that all the customers will say, okay, I prefer that one in on axis, but I'll prefer that one in off axis. And those speakers can be the same, but they can be totally different. And after that, just do a reference. So your on axis should be as close as possible to your off axis listening, because if you look at it in the car, your right speakers are close to be a on axis type of thing because of where they are in the car.
Right.
The left speakers on the car are 45-60% off axis, depending on where they are installed
And
in the
hitting
car.
your left knee or shin.
Yeah.
So what do you want to listen at? So when you're listening to the guitar, is it the same guitar when the guitarist is moving on the stage from left to right, or it will change? So if you have drastic acoustic timbres change, different acoustic from moving to off axis, off axis, on axis, or vice versa, whatever, the best speaker for car will be the speaker that will give you the smoothest transition, because it's totally impossible to have the same acoustic characteristics, especially for our frequencies. But the best speaker selection will be for you to have a speakers where you will find that same audio characteristic across the movement from on axis to off axis.
Understood.
So here again, a good speakers in front of you can be great, but as you move out of axis,
It could be terrible. Harry, I want to move on to other categories. Help me close this out as far as speakers are concerned. You mentioned we have different series available, the on-axis, off-axis, the different type of materials. Tie this all together for us so we can move forward as far as the speaker selection goes.
All right, if you're shopping for speakers, bring some music with you on a USB flash drive or something like that to the store. Ask for a demonstration and listen to those speakers and make a real life evaluation. Don't choose speakers based on how much they cost. Choose speakers on what you're willing to spend on speakers and what sounds the best to you for your music. It's your vehicle, your music, and your money. Get what you want, not what somebody else wants you to have.
There you said. That should be law. That should be like printed on the poster and put in front of every demo board in every car audio shop there is out there, right there. Okay, here's something that we together in our preamble kind of came together and said this would be a great talking point, especially in the confines of this audiophile session. We've talked about signal, but there is something really confusing about signal that I brought up, and I'm very happy that you guys are taking the time on your show to kind of to touch on. The talk of high res audio. This is an important thing. It's on your box. There are consumers out there that are looking for this feature that meet a certain certification, which is high res, and that could replay and reproduce this quality sound. My personal challenge when it came to this is, what are the sources that are available to us right now to be able to use said technology? And I was hesitant to ask this question for the fear of sounding stupid, but I don't care anymore. I'm stupid anyway. Or I want to know. How about that?
I totally agree.
Because okay, I'm going to break it down so that you guys listening know that I'm not full of what. I'm asking the question. You see this? Yes, this has become my audiophile source unit. Okay, because why?
It's convenient.
It's convenient. It's always on me. I have my music service on here that I download. I could connect it via cable, depending if I'm at home, maybe to my system. But I'll be honest, I'm lazy like everybody else out there. I Bluetooth.
99% of people doing it.
Yes, I stream it to my 2-channel at home. I stream it to my vehicles, my boat. This is my source unit. For all intents and purposes. Okay. This is where my source, not my source unit, the source of my source material. How's that?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But now I'm learning that depending if you're using an Apple phone or you're using an Android, there are two different type of scenarios, in the sense that you may have better resolution and sound quality through an Android device because it has a certain codec that Apple stops at. How can I, Mr. Consumer, Mr. Enthusiast, understand how to best optimize my personal scenario to I can take the best advantage of equipment such as the type that Pioneer is offering? That's a big question. I know this is taking your time, but please help us.
To make it simple, you can divide it in the source. Where do you pick the music? Where do you download the music? There's the container. So I'll not raise the other finger, the one, the two. Yeah. So the container, which is the device you use. Mm-hmm. Is it a thumb drive, a SD card, a smartphone, whatever?
I feel like thumb drive was so 2009. Like nobody, I don't even know the last time I actually used a thumb drive, to be completely honest.
So that's the container. So where will you keep the recording? And there's the communication tunnel, which can be hardwire or wireless. Mm-hmm. And that will go into a receivers that will, in some way, maybe will be able to decode the music, because it's all coded. It's not transparent. So the hand of the communication chain, which is the receiver in your car, need to be able to decode that music based on the process it uses, no matter if it's wired or wireless. And even if you have, as an example, as we do, a high-res receivers, we're able to achieve specific bandwidth, specific spec, signal to noise ratio, dynamics, and those things in a way to apply that high-res logo. But if you're not using it with the good content first, or the good codec, or the good container, or the good communication, then you will break that communication quality. So you need to be on the same page or the same quality no matter what. It's the same from the source to the speakers.
This was
So-
a lot
so it's
easier when
just
I went to
adding up.
what you refer to as the record store, and I bought
Yep.
a record and I played
Yep.
it, and it was done. I didn't have to worry about what
Eh.
bit rate and compression and codecs and LDACs and whatever other one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because there's only one thing. So one material was managing everything. Now
And that was
you
the
have
standard,
different
right?
type
That
of
was it.
thing.
That was it.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's bring up.
So I think you should put one.
We're
the
gonna bring
first
up this
slide I
other
shared
this
with
other
you.
little presentation here. There you go. Okay, Robert, take it away.
Yeah, on the
Explain
next
this to us.
page.
Let's go to page 2. I believe you have
Okay.
control, Robert. There you
Should
go.
be.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So I took time to put those pieces of the puzzle all together, because really it's a piece of puzzle. So based on your content and what you are listening at, how you're listening at, the end result will be totally different. So if you look at the center of the screen, you will have your CD basis as a reference, which is a wave file of 16-bit with 44.1 kilohertz sampling. For the geek in you, again, because we're under a geek session, if you look at the reference at the lower of the page, you can do the math on your side.
Mhm.
So you will have the end result, how we are able to say that it's a 1411 bit rate. So 1411 kbps, right? So that is the reference for CD quality. If you're doing wireless streaming with CarPlay, wireless streaming with Android Auto, that will be the same, if you have the right content to achieve it, of course. But that will be the maximum capability for the resolution of the music. If you do the same CarPlay with a wired connection, with a USB connection, and you to download high-res music on your Android phone or your iPhone with the right reference, then the same music will be way much higher in bandwidth. So we're moving from 1400, let's say it this way, to 9000 gross number. So it's way better in details, and more details, more refinement in the music, more precise information from the same content. Just because one is wireless, one is wired, you'll achieve two different results, even if it's the same content.
Okay, before we go too far, because I'm trying to absorb everything here. So you're setting the center line at 1411 kbps. That is CD quality, what we know is no different from playing a CD.
Okay? A CD is a CD. Yep.
A CD. So what you're telling me here is through a wireless Apple CarPlay or Android Auto connection to a phone, wireless, I can achieve 1411.
As soon as you are setting the lossless music on your iPhone, as an example, or
Gotcha.
the high resolution music on your Android devices.
So my question is this: let's say I am a customer of Apple Music, which you have down here at 320. Are you telling me that if I'm connecting my Apple CarPlay, right, and I'm playing a track that's streaming from Apple Music, I'm only getting 320?
Yeah, you only get, let's say, 20% of the quality that you'll get if you have your audio content recorded into your iPhone.
Oh my God, that's garbage. I did not know it was that garbage. I'm
It's
shocked.
all about how it's all about how you are dealing with it. As an example, Spotify on their side will maximize their quality to 320. They don't have any HD music content. So if you look strictly at streaming, actually the best offer for streaming are Apple Music or Amazon Music with their Prime HD music. There's also Tidal or different
Sure.
other solution, but on the most popular platform, those two guys, Amazon and Apple, are the one that will give you the possibility to
So
enjoy lossless music.
so you have here high res lossless music, Apple Music at 9216 can be achieved through transmission wired on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. What about the
Yeah,
Amazon Music HD? Is that the same case wired
the same.
or no? It's the same.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same.
Okay.
As soon as you are wired, again, as removing the plug or the bare copper, there's nothing better than copper.
Yeah, there's nothing
so
better than
so
copper.
wireless is wireless. So but things can change. So this is what it is for now.
Okay.
So, hey, Ben,
Yes,
I
yes.
wanna
Go ahead,
throw
Harry.
in-
Go ahead, please.
I just want to throw in here that, this is the audiophile episode.
It is.
Okay. So when we say that the stuff on over to the left-hand side of the screen really doesn't sound any good, I just want to throw in that mostly it sounds really pretty good. Okay. But this is the audiophile episode where we go from the center of the screen and we don't even bother with the stuff on the left.
I'm not even
This is the
looking
real
at it,
thing
honestly.
from the center of
I'm
the
only
screen up to
focused
the
on the
good
right.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, because my
Actually,
18-year-old
it's
son might not care, but I do. I care because I guess I'm an audiophile because I like the gear and I like the reproduction of sound. So yes, I'm an audiophile, I suppose, by that definition. Now, what I'm really focusing in on here is how do I get from that 9216 to that 1288, and can I take advantage of that? Like, what is the real life like scenario here with 12288?
honestly talking, in car, no.
No, I'm not. I can't take advantage of that.
You can take it, but you will need to have your car parked in a parking lot with a quiet environment in a way to achieve it and listen at it. Even looking at the wired version of CarPlay or Android Auto versus the wireless version in car while driving in the heavy traffic with the road noise and those things, don't think so. Sorry.
So you don't think you can
I,
hear the
I don't want to
difference
sell
between...
you any fairy dust
No,
here.
I'm asking the question. Is there a difference
Yeah.
audibly? Okay, can I hear the difference between 1411 and 9216?
On a
In
good
a car.
system, while parked, yes. While
Harry?
But
driving,
wait, there's another point here that we're both that we're not throwing in. Okay, the question is, can you hear the difference there in your car? I'm not sure that you can, especially while your car is running. However, I can in my house, and I'm certain of it. And so,
Yeah.
if I buy tracks, for example, FLAC information or DSD or something like that from a download service like HD Tracks, and this is what I listen to in my home, I don't have to put that through any type of converter or anything else. I can drop it onto my phone somewhere or maybe onto a flash drive, and I can play those same files in my car. And I don't have to fuss with them at all. Everything is named and album art and all that good stuff is ready to go in my car, and they sound great without messing with them at all. And that's a
And-
very important part of it to me.
Mm-hmm.
That
and
convenience
that
of having it
yeah.
at home and having the same things in my car when I want to.
Actually, that is one of the not I can say exclusive, but I think we were pretty much alone or close to it to offer that type of real-time conversion. So what Aries mentioned about our audio receivers is no matter the codec, virtually all the popular codec, from the basic MP3 on the lossy side to even some type of codec that you don't see on that chart with digital stream direct DSD, we're able to read those file and we will play those file under CD quality no matter what it is. So even if it's a big 32 192 FLAC file or a DSD content, DSD 64 128, we will convert it in real time into CD quality and we will bring it to life in your car. So there's no need to manage any duplicated
right.
library
I
at
guess
home to do it.
I guess what makes me feel good now that I see this chart is, although even I'm doing wireless CarPlay, for example, I happen to be an Apple user, I'm getting CD quality sound.
Yeah.
That's what this tells me.
If you're starting with at least CD quality files to begin with.
If I'm starting
Yes.
with CD quality, I'm not losing anything there.
So for the iPhone user, you need to turn on that lossless features within the phone, and record that music into the phone memory in a way to achieve it.
Right, it has to be downloaded. This is not streaming. This is downloaded.
And Ben, you said before that you think that USB is so 2010 or something. I agree with you to a certain extent that that's the truth, but the idea that I can take a 128 or 256 gig USB flash drive and plug that into my receiver and leave that in the glove box, and that just stays in my car, is pretty great.
Fair enough. Well, I say that because I haven't explored these HD track type stuff that you were talking about, and if I did, I'd probably pull out the thumb drive again just for that.
Plug it in there and leave it in there, and you never forget your music collection at home.
Trust me, my kids yell at me all the time whenever we lose a signal while I'm streaming some type of music. Like, Dad, why don't you just download the music? Because I'm too lazy. That's all. That is all. No excuse.
just a quick one, Ben. So
Yes,
if you look at that slide,
yes,
this is specifically for Bluetooth communication. So all the chart here are different Bluetooth codec. So based on the type of music that you're listening, if it's the AAC codec, which is the Apple, or the SBC codec, which is the industry standard where Bluetooth start for audio streaming, or the Qualcomm different type of family offer from the basic aptics to the aptics HD. So those Qualcomm aptics are only offered if you have some select Android smartphone.
Okay.
iPhone user don't have access to those haptics features.
So as an Apple user, your max is the AAC 320.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
So, and on some other phone, you can also have the LDAC logo, which is linear DAC, and this go up to 990.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's close to CD quality, but not a CD quality yet. So as soon as you are doing audio streaming,
this is Bluetooth though.
Right.
Okay.
As soon as you do Bluetooth streaming, it's what we call a lossy process. So
Gotcha.
The codec will compress the music or the data in a way to be able to transfer that thing over the Bluetooth, and the devices at the other end will decompress it in a way to make your content being listened to in back into music, let's say it this way. So it's really important to use the right process. So download the right audio source and understand what you are using and how you're using it in a way to achieve the best performance you want. Actually, there's no right or wrong things. So it's always finding a balance between quality and convenience.
I can't thank you enough for putting this one together here, Rob. This one I think everybody should screenshot and study and understand, because I feel a lot of us don't understand this 100%. And when we're talking to our customers, I think they rely on us to know this and educate them on this, especially when they're about to get into a serious system and an investment, right? They need to understand, because let's be honest, I'm not the only one that uses this to play music.
No, you're certainly not.
I am not. All right, let's go ahead and take this down. And
We're all guilty.
We are all guilty. Gentlemen, this has been a very interesting voyage through Pioneer Lane on this topic that is audiophile. It's not just about the product, the specs, the boxes, and what the numbers say. It's about the music, the reproduction, the subjective experience for the listener, I think, is the most important thing. And our jobs as dealers, as specialists, is to be able to properly demo the product, probe the customer, qualify the customer, and make sure that they have the options that suit their needs for them to make that final decision. And what I think Pioneer has proven here is that you guys pretty much have that down to a science. You know, you offer the different materials, the cone materials, the tweeter materials, the fitments, and all that. You know, the high res. I mean, there's more than enough talking points. Harry, I'm going to lean on you to close this out for us. Audiophile for Pioneer.
Okay, you know what? I would say many customers like the idea of a full system from the same manufacturer. There's a power to that. Pioneer offers you in-dash receivers that are high-res audio certified, amplifiers, high-res audio certified, and speakers, high-res audio certified, and products that are priced to move consumer audio products, and very reliable and very when they're.
All right, Robert, maybe you could help kind of add a little bit onto that.
I'll pass it through the decoder.
Pass that through the codec. I think our codec there was a little bit too extreme.
Yeah, good. Quality issues on the link. But yeah, I totally share what Harry said, and I'll fill the gap with the breakout. So what we are offering to the customers is actually at Pioneer something that will bring you high quality, high-res certified product from the source to the ears. So no matter if you look at a receivers with high-res certification and amplifier with high-res certification, we have it. If you look at a system, and when I'm saying again a system for the high-res certification, it's starting with the subwoofers up to the tweeters that create the high-res certification up to 96 kilohertz for the tweeters. We have it under a budget that is achievable or reachable for most customers. So we're not talking about $4,000 component set. We're talking about a $399 Canadian for component set, which is the most expensive speakers we have actually in Canada with Pioneer. So this is something that is a dream, achievable dream. Let's say it this way.
All right. Can't thank you enough, Robert. That last section, I'm not gonna lie, we're gonna take a lot of use out of. I'm gonna make sure people know to go to that as a reference for that discussion to learn about the different source.
They should hit the pause button and look at the chart.
Literally, they should literally screen share that. But on that note, I want to thank you for taking the time to come in and talk to us today about, you know, what Audiophile means to Pioneer.
You're welcome.
Take care. That was Robert and Harry, both from Pioneer. If you want more information on Pioneer Electronics products, it's a big website, but check it out, pioneerelectronics.com. Everything we've discussed from the source units down to the Z series speakers and beyond will be found right there. All right. We're not done yet. We still got a couple more brands to go during these audiophile sessions here on CMA Networks right through till November 10th. A feature brand each and every day as we go deep and uncover what audiophile means to these brands listed here. We also got a great contest, couple days left. Make sure you sign up. What are you waiting for? Make it today. Win a trip to MasterTech Expo 2023. Head over to cmanetworks.com/giveaway. It's free to sign up, and we are choosing 2 lucky winners, one from Canada and one from the US, for an all-inclusive trip to MasterTech Expo 2023. And while you're on cmanetworks.com, make sure you check out Pioneer as well as Harry's profile. See all the videos that we have there that could definitely be helpful and get your learn on when it comes to Pioneer. cmanetworks.com. It's where the 12-volt industry connects. That's it for the CMA Connected here on CMA Networks, presented by Sirius XM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.
I mean, yeah, let's talk about today. Today we're gonna go topics.
Roll it down.
I am. You don't need a car to listen to Sirius XM. You can listen anywhere. You know that, right?
What? Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio.
Kevin, you could use your phone.
What? What?
Alexa, play Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio on Sirius XM.
What?
This is how I know you're getting old. I guess that was it.
What?